Okay, good. So the purpose is to give you a quick view on who we are and the size of the company. I think it's important, especially in the current market situation, to be part of a large company who has a global presence, because what we see for the last few years is the market has a change in conditions, and there's a financial crisis, there's some things will change from one country to the other, or maybe some things like COVID. So smaller companies are more fragile and can be impacted more by the economy change. Large companies tend to be more resilient and more solid, so they offer better uh, career opportunities for people. And I think today we are lucky to be part of DHC Luxoft. We are um, a large company, but working on different areas. But in the banking and capital market, we have more than 6,500 people. Uh, but in total is more than 13,000 people working also on automotive and the telecommunication industries. We have 350 active banking and capital market clients, and we are working for more than 4 or 5 years now, accumulated working in the banking industries. We work with 17 out of the world top 20 banks, and we operate in more than 70 countries. Yeah, and then because of the nature of our business, the complexity of what we do, more than 70% of our employees have engineering degrees, either in business or technology schools. Yeah, next slide. So in terms of services, we have a comprehensive catalog of services. So what we can see on the top side of the slide here are all the software consultancy kind of offering. So, and that goes from a business consultancy, from the strategy and defining the target operating models of banks, to also doing optimization on existing platforms on how to reduce the cost and how to reduce the operating mode of banks. We help banks on regulation and their regulatory requirements. Uh, Also, we have, and this is probably the area of focus of this presentation, where I will spend a bit more time, and where Murex sits in the middle of our trading and risk solution strategy. We have built a long time now partnership with a portfolio of software packages, and where we operate on them in center of excellences, and we have a very strong reputation in the market in terms of delivery and having very good delivery quality on those different platforms. A part of that, we do a lot of digital engineering that goes from Java, C++, C Sharp, UI, UX, AI, machine learning kind of development for different banks. On the lower side, on the blue part, we see more infrastructure and cloud services. So DHC is the largest in the world, actually, provider of AWS servers. And we cover all the cycle from cloud provisioning to security, doing all the application services layer. Also, we have workplace and mobility solutions, and we can extend our services to like some BPO around the cloud infrastructure. Okay, next one. So a bit more specifically in the software packages, I want to show here that this is part of our DNA. And actually, the first partnership with a software vendor started in 2008, so 13 years ago. And that was with Murex. And this is why now Murex is one of the largest practices we have in the financial department. Um, yeah, so a partnership for us means the following. It means access to training. It means also ability to have access to projects, also having an aligned methodology of delivery with a software vendor, and being always aware of the latest versions and the latest development on the platform. And that helps us and our teams to be always on the top of what's going on from a software perspective and from a client's perspective, and always perceived as being the best in class by our clients. So then in 2017, there was additional, in 2012, there was an additional investment from our side, and we built a second partnership with the Calypso. Then 2015, Moody's, and then 2017, Trust, etc. From 2018, just before COVID, actually, we put in place a bit more aggressive strategy to create partnerships with a wider scope of software packages. That's actually an ask from our clients, from the banks, who asked us. They said that we do so much good work with Murex Calypso, and they said, why you don't just do the same thing with other packages, because the bank use them all in different areas. Temenos in core banking, Pega in product lifecycle management, Avalor that is more wealth management. But then you see this other platforms used for risk management, for example, Axiom SL, or for reconciliation like SmartStream. We can see some EDMs, data management system like Golden Source, or also client onboarding and like Fenergo. Yeah, so it's part of our DNA today. Each partnership has its own team, its own center of excellence. It also provides, offers our people the ability to grow in one center of excellence, but also move from one center of excellence to another. And we see this happening more and more. Let's say, for example, someone who has 10 years of experience in Murex and who wants to explore other areas. He wants to move more to wealth management, for example, and become more like a solution architect on a solution like Avalor, or move into project management and then managing projects into other areas. Similarly, in test management or in DevOps cloud, where any skills built into one platform can be easily replicated onto other platforms. So that's also something we offer as part of our career path management, and it's very good for for the people who join us to have such rich number of options within the same center of excellence or in different center of excellences, also in the same location or in a more on-site location. So we believe today that we are creating the best environment for people to grow and to achieve their career and personal objectives with us. So in terms of services, we do, I think when you join us, you will be dependent on your profile, dependent on your level of expertise and previous experience, you will be assigned to one of those different type of projects. But then you can evolve, you can change also over time, depending on your preference. The first one is more business analysis and strategy consulting kind of positions, where your role will be to help the client define their business processes and document them, and also design their target business model, and then the steps on how to reach that target business model. Okay. The second one is more on the project management and PMO. So this is more coordination kind of roles. The third one is implementation services. And this is the key and the largest type of engagements we have right now. So we work with Murex on different methodologies. Either it's a new implementation, so the client doesn't have Murex and they want to implement Murex for the first time, and we use what we call MXpress. FAM is, so Murex did run through a major re-engineering of their platform. So the migration from the old family of versions to the new family of versions, we call this FEM, fast evolutive model. That's the abbreviation. And the third one is upgrades. So we do one upgrade from one version to the other. Why it's important to use methodologies for us is important because and for Murex as well. Because when you get into the details later, and depending on the project you work on, each methodology comes with a tool set. That tool set contains steps of what needs to be done to deliver the project, very clear roles and responsibilities, but also templates, documents, accelerators that ease the day-to-day work. Okay, as a company, we pay attention to the knowledge. We capitalize on what we did before. So we get that knowledge, and we make it more agnostic so that we can reuse it on a new project. There's no need for people to just rethink again and again. The purpose for us is to enable our people and make you learn based on previous experience from previous similar projects. So you will be completely supported to grow and to work based on existing and established framework with very clear uh, responsibilities. You know exactly what's expected from you. You know exactly who do you report. You know exactly what's your career path, where you will evolve, and you will be supported by a tool set into your day-to-day work. Okay. The third aspect is more expertise. So I think if some of you are FRTB expert or LIBOR experts, then we have engagements where the clients are asking us for advisory roles. They say, we have an FRTB regulation coming soon. Can someone from Luxoft come and advise us on what it means in terms of regulation, business, but also technology? What changes we need to do on technologies to be compliant with that new regulation? Okay. And that can be business driven or also a bit more delivery. So DevOps, for example. So the client will come to us, will say, listen, I want to become DevOps and I want to establish CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery. Can you tell me what it means from my Murex perspective and from the platform's perspective? And we play those advisory roles, and then we give them recommendations and a plan on how they can achieve their objectives. The third one is more support, production support. So it's for very junior people, we do L1, which is picking up the phone, responding to some questions, and helping with easy tickets, easy issues. And from that point, those people will evolve to move to the left, one of those other areas. But as a starting point, we give them opportunity to be part of teams where it's more production support and answering to client questions while they learn at the same time. We have several engagements like those ones where multi-years engagements where we have full responsibility on the production support of the client. So we do as I said, level 1, which is answering questions, and then we do L2 and L3. This is more doing small maintenance, small changes, and then the more people become senior, the more they do bigger changes and work on more complex issues. Okay, so as you can see, there's a good variety of positions, and as I said, you can always start into one area and then you move to other areas. Yeah, I think I'll hand over to I think Pravina on this.
Thank you, Edin. I'm sure our participants have gotten a good glimpse of our partnership with Murex and the emphasis that we give for career development of our employees. So, Pravina, on to you. Let's hear about India's growth strategy and our journey so far.
Thanks, Pragna. Hi, all. Good evening. So I think it's a glimpse of what are all the avenues available within Luxoft beyond Murex. Even though if you join as a trading and risk management solution practice, we do have multiple avenues, and Luxoft does invest a lot in order to upscale and cross-scale the resources within the organization. So it covers predominantly all the technology at the domain, as well as from the soft skill perspective or from a foreign language perspective. We do also have a dedicated training, the learning and management team who takes care of this particular newer module evaluation as per the business needs or as per the industry needs. So in that way, you will be assured to get a right learning path for you, apart from the day-to-day delivery, whatever you are having at present within the organization. So from a regional coverage perspective and our platforms coverage perspective, from India, we are part of all major transformation, consolidation or implementation journeys of the major financial institutions across all the regions, covering like Americas, EMEA, Southeast Asia and ANZ region. The functional coverage has been pretty extensive with considering the program needs, where the regulatory programs like the LIBOR transition or the FRDB implementation or the SWIFT upgrade, very regional specific regulatory programs, etc. So covering from front to back to risk and cross asset. All the kind of projects we are supporting the banks to the banks in order to serve their needs in terms of either consolidation or simplification. So it will be a great opportunity for you guys to be part of such complex programs and get enhance your Murex capabilities by being part of the latest regulatory programs or the complex technological implementation programs, etc. Can move on. So from our vast experience, what we had supported from various banks, we do understand the key market themes in order for all the financial institutions are towards IT simplification and the cost reduction from a TCO perspective, and then meeting the regulatory deadlines, and then reducing the overhead towards avoiding the infrastructural or the operational overhead by going into picking the models like the cloud implementation, etc. So the end-to-end value chain of a typical bank covers the various line of business like the capital markets, treasury, core banking, risk and regulatory, etc. So Luxoft does come with a unique combination of expertise, having the right expertise, I would say, where Pragna, you are moving the slides. Yeah, so it is having a right expertise in order to serve the bank's end-to-end need from a simplification and from a simplification and the implementation journey. So what they would need will be a global partner who has a right experience in order to identify the right sort of project risks in their particular journey by providing the right operating model, reducing the time to market by proposing various utilities and providing a best cost-effective distributed agile teams with an effective packaged DevOps or the cloud implementation solutions and the right part of expertise. So Luxoft has that particular end-to-end value chain where if you join, you can be part of create an impact within such a complex program. And it is a very good very good opportunity for somebody who will be understanding the whole financial institution lifecycle end-to-end value chain perspective. So my colleague Santosh will be covering one of such a journey where Luxoft has implemented the Murex in the cloud, and our viewpoint in terms of what exactly the cloud journey looks like, and what is the complexity and what are the various layers involved in. So I'll be handing it over to Santosh to cover that. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveena. Thank you. And good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining this session. And you can ask your questions. I already saw a couple of questions on cloud, so I'll be covering those architectural things in the sample AWS architecture, how that application is talking to DB layer and so on. But today I'm going to discuss more on what we are solving in cloud. I mean, how we are solving banks' problems. So Murex on cloud, I mean, what are the factors driving banks to adopt cloud? So first one is cost. So we DXC Luxoft helps banks to plan and execute cloud migration journey with minimum cost and risk and business disruptions with increase in security. So the first one is cost. We are reducing their total TCO, total cost of ownership, by transferring their on-premises infrastructure to cloud vendors like AWS and Azure. And This gives them an advantage to scale their capabilities as the demand shifts, and it lowers the cost of entry for a new products and services in the least capacity real estate. This means, I'll just give an example. Let's say if you, in some cases in banks, they need to run some VAR, SVAR weekly once or a couple of times in a month. So in a traditional data center, if you want to run these simulations, it may you need to own those servers. You need to pay the electricity, security. You need to recruit these techies and maintain these data centers, which is a huge cost involved. And whereas you're just running your VAR and SVAR for like 4 to 8 hours, right? So if you just move this workload to cloud, especially AWS or Azure. So it just cost you 300 to 350 bucks, not more than that. And we have recently implemented this kind of implementation for a Southeast Asian client, and we have reduced their cost by 16 folds when you compare with the non-prem infrastructure. And the next one is eliminating capital expenses and moving their IT to the cloud operating model and transforming their cost center model to a value-added service provider model. That means, as Heathen said, so we are offering PaaS and SaaS model of Murex, so that we host and we maintain and we optimize cloud, and we just give a platform to them, which is a plug and play, where they can provision their infrastructure with a single click button, and they can provision the Murex instances within 30 to 40 minutes. So this is the enhancements or a recent platforms development which we did. And then next one is gaining flexibility and speed. Yes, so with those platforms, we are giving Murex cloud dashboards where you can observe, where you can approximate your cost involved for provisioning those environments, and you can limit your budgets and you can make cost analysis. So all these things are possible with those platforms, and based on your market penetration and based on your customer adoption, so you can provision your environments. And last but not least, reach to your customers, which we reduce cycles time to market for these products. So where clients will be more happy, or the developers or dev teams or support teams will be more happy, because to provision an environment in a typical data center mode, it takes maybe weeks to months time, but whereas we decreased it to minutes to hours. So that's kind of enhancements we are doing, and that the kind of cutting edge technologies we are using to this happen. So next slide, Pragya. Hello. Yeah, as on today, Murex got validated on a couple of platforms, cloud vendors like AWS and Azure. And with AWS and Azure, DXC Luxoft is helping our clients in guidance and hardware sizing. And we do help on the security enhancements, which they really need to host their production workloads in cloud, and legal changes, governance, compliance, and all. And even this monitoring tools, we provide them as part of CMP, where they can monitor all those logs, they can see all the metrics, how their MX3 platforms are performing, everything. And we do help them in the PNV testing, performance testing, and beta and alpha testing. And apart from this, AWS and Azure is are completely compliant and got a full-fledged benchmark validated from Murex, so they can host their production workloads on these two cloud vendors. Next slide. So levels of adoption. So the first level of adoption is compute grid, which is a grid computing, which gives you a great best infrastructure cost benefit and improved in the usage. And you can mimic production like test environments on the grid, and it supports ad hoc demand. That means, let's say if you are going with the hybrid grid computing, if you want to provision additional compute resource or a compute server within a fraction or within a matter of minutes, you can provision a server. You use it for 1 or 2 hours, just pay 10 to 20 bucks or 100 to 200 bucks, and just you destroy it. So it's a pay as you go mode, and you can reduce your cost by multiple folds by adopting this. And the next adoption level is dev and test. We have delivered many dev test workload migration to many of our clients, and many of them are thinking to move their dev and test workloads to cloud. And this will give you unlimited capabilities and capacity, because in cloud you have unlimited capacity, and which increase your agility and improved in the usage, and which enable CI/CD pipeline to provision your infrastructure. So we delivered many pipelines, which is very native to AWS and Azure, and as well as many open source orchestration pipelines in Jenkins, CodeFresh, and Bamboo. So which is very easy for a developer or a support guy to provision their infrastructure within a single click. And the next level of adoption is production in the cloud. And a couple of banks are already adopted this, and they're getting a greater advantage on the DR, high availability, elasticity, and etc. from by leveraging on the cloud. A typical Murex instance on an on-premises data structure data center looks like this. So you'll be having your client layer, where you'll be having a tunnel of VPN with your data center, where your fat client will be sitting on your client layer, and you'll be having business orchestration and DB layer. You can segregate this DB and business orchestration into different servers. That's up to you, but it's a simple typical Murex instance looks like this. And you'll be having your additional NFS and SAN-based hosting outside your WAN. So next slide. So this is how a Murex instance looks like in AWS. So we'll be having, so someone asked how you're communicating from your application to DB, right? So this is how it looks like. So you'll be having one public subnet. You'll be having your bastions. You'll be having your, so all the traders, support guys, developers, everyone will be accessing Murex from this subnet. And from here, you'll make a secure RMA call to your private subnet, where your business layers and where your Murex will be hosted. And from there, you'll have a dedicated tunnel, a security group, which will be communicating with your other private subnet where your DB is hosted. That can be Oracle, that can be Sybase, or that can be any other supported DB. Okay, and for high availability, we have placed another instance of DB in another availability zone, and you can replicate all those things in another availability zone for high availability. But a typical Murex instance looks like this, a dev test one. Okay, next slide.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone, once more. Like how you just saw in the video, what I am here to talk about is what it means to be working at Luxoft. So I started my journey about 8.5 years ago with this organization. So initially it was with Derivati. In those days, my focus was more in a specific area of Murex reporting. So I worked with various clients in the capacity of a data mart and reporting SME. But once the merger with Luxoft happened, then my horizons broadened all of a sudden. So there were a lot of new challenging opportunities which were available. So one of which I took up, and not only did I have to don a new hat working as a technical support consultant for a new client engagement. It was totally new from what I had been doing before, but also in due course of time, when the client moved on to an agile mode of working, I was also asked to be the chapter lead within the account. So I had added responsibility to contribute to the growth of the team. And from my capacity on the Luxoft side, also I was working to build the entire account and the engagement. So this was a wonderful opportunity for me to grow in my career to the next level, from being a focused SME to take on more management responsibilities. And more recently, being in line with those aspirations, I've also taken up the role of being a COP lead for the EMEA projects offshore in working out of India. So this is again something which has given me a push along my aspired career path at Luxoft. This is my personal experience, and while I'm talking about this, I can also touch upon the experience of a colleague of mine, wherein when I had to move out of the account that I just spoke about, we had to identify somebody to step into my shoes. And while we could have easily advertised and looked outside for somebody senior, where the client was looking for like somebody with 15 plus years of experience of leading big project teams and working with client engagements, what we chose to do instead was to look inside at people who had already served on the project and check if anybody was interested. And one of the team members who was technically very good, expressed his desire to take up this role as a chapter lead. And although he does not tick all the boxes at the moment, what we have done is we are, encouraging him and empowering him by making him attend the leadership trainings at Luxoft, and we are helping him grow into this new role. So these are just a couple of examples personally from my side where I can talk about what it means being at Luxoft, in terms of growing along with your career aspirations. So what makes Luxoft different is, these styles will just give you a brief glimpse of that. What we are encouraged to do here is to challenge our own abilities. So basically what you end up doing is probably you will discover new skills which you yourself didn't know you possessed. So till I took up the role of being a technical support consultant or a chapter lead, I didn't know, maybe I had it in me or maybe not. So what Luxoft did and my managers did was gave me this opportunity and, gave me that little nudge to take that step forward and see, when you know that there's management backing you up and there are people behind you, there is no fear of failure. So you know that, nothing is wrong, even if you don't do everything 100% right the first time. There are people to support you and encourage you. So that confidence Luxoft gives you. And what we also gain from this is, as my colleague spoke, Luxoft is working with a plethora of clients across the globe. So there are so many different logos and marquee clients that you would have seen in the previous slides. So we have the opportunity and the options to work with some of the best clients in the industry, in the capital markets industry. So this gives you a chance to work with all the key stakeholders and interact with business. There's so much learning to be had from all of them, and it also gives you the exposure of working with people from different cultures and different geographies, and that's very, very enriching for somebody being in this field, especially for a long time. So that really adds value to your profile and your overall personality. And aside of that, my colleagues have spoken about how good the management is. So we really have, senior management here who are very, very approachable. So there's no real hierarchical structure in place. So everybody is just a phone call or an email away, and you can just pick up your phone or ping them on WhatsApp, on Teams, just get in touch, clarify your questions. And they're always there, sharing the business strategies and ideas which the decisions being taken, it could be related to organization structure or anything, basically all the changes that the organization is going through with all the mergers and acquisitions. So there are a lot of open questions in the minds of the employees. We have so many town halls and one-to-one connects at various levels. So it is a very, very transparent system in place here. And on one side, while you have such supportive management, on the other side, you have technically brilliant people on the floor with whom you get to interact on an everyday basis. So we have some of the best talent in the industry. We have people with years and years of experience having worked on Murex. So some of my colleagues I can trace back to my initial days. I know Praveena from close to 18-20 years. So Luxoft provides the opportunity to some of these best candidates in the market. So this is the place where you get to interact with them and learn so much from each other. And while we are speaking of learning, what Luxoft also offers, and we also briefly touched upon it before, is the various training programs. So all of us are encouraged to take part in different kinds of training programs, which are even customized for some of the account and project needs, or there are always initiatives which are being run. There are training programs conducted in coordination with our vendor partners like Murex. Being in this industry, you will know how difficult it is to get a Murex training. It's not something that you can get outside in the market. So Luxoft being a premier partner with Murex, we get access to some of their best training materials. So they run training programs like 3T, embedment, train the trainer. So being Luxofters, we have access to all these training programs, and also Luxoft internally in collaboration with DXC as well has a very good repository of course materials where you can choose to do self-training or attend instructor-led sessions. We have a very good L&D team who takes care of all our training needs. And lastly, but not the least, my colleague Soumya also spoke about the wonderful rewards and recognition program that we have at Luxoft. So any good work here does not go unnoticed. So all the managers and all the leads are always encouraged to identify the best performers from the team and reward them at various levels at various stages. So we have multiple rewards and recognition programs. Like we have the quarterly awards like Lux Stars, where people are nominated and there is voting and there is a panel which chooses the best based on the categories. And these come with really good rewards, which are encouraging for our employees. And even on the smallest scale, we have account level rewards and recognition where we choose an employee of the month. And there are loyalty points for every small, good deed that you did, or if you got a kudos from your project team member, then you will get some loyalty points. So what all of this does is encourages people and keeps them motivated to contribute more for the organization. And I think rewards and recognition are an important part for the employees to feel encouraged. So all in all, I'd like to wrap up and say that Luxoft, being at Luxoft is like a Pandora's box, but in a very positive way. So there is like a galore of opportunities for you to come and explore, and we'd love to have some of you guys come over and join us.
Thank you so much, Anuradha, for taking us through your experience and also telling us the kind of ecosystem Luxoft nurtures so that Luxofters truly thrive. So next speaker, we have Prabjot Gujral. He is the manager for recruitment niche skills Luxoft India. Prabjot, over to you.
Thanks. Can we go to the slide? Yes, so good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in for the session today. And as with my peers, you've already got an awareness about what Luxoft is as an organization and how we are going along with what kind of a footprints we have. I'm going to take you through and walk you through with our Murex opportunities, which we have right now for India as a region. So can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So as you can see that, we have multiple modules for Murex, which we are practicing in India, and it covers majority of the modules going into the guides of you talk about for workflows, you talk about for business classes in terms of, business analysts, FO developers, back office developers, or you talk about from into the guides of testing practices. So we are pretty much covering all kinds of modules for Murex in India, and that's how we are increasing ourselves. And also you can see the asset classes to which we cater on to these demands for the investment banking industry. As you know that pretty much into the Murex space, you are going to interact to the IB, where the majority of the banks are using Murex as their platform to work on and go ahead. So some of the key asset classes which we are working on is towards cash, equity, derivatives, or you talk about from the particular client onboarding perspective, where my colleague Aideen has already taken to you along with Pravina. So you can see to it that how we are going ahead and how the landscape is being designed in such a way so it's more of a very dynamic culture, and you can see yourself growing and meeting the opportunity which can take you to a next step of your career ladder. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So as you can see, these are some of the open positions in India, which we are currently catering to into the guides of our remote opportunities, along with our Bangalore and Pune as a majority focus regions. We have currently almost 150 plus open demands catering across to the portfolios of data mart, workflows, or you talk about testers or developers like front office, back office, MLC, support guys for Murex. So we are pretty much going into each and every module itself. And that's where, you can see that we are being treated as a prime ownership into the market, and where the partners come to us and see to us as one of the leading solution provider to them, with the approach of how we can go towards the next step and how we can take the next ladder to progress accordingly and to take them through with it. So I was seeing through one of the questions which have come in that, how we can start off our career in London if you want to. So for example, not only just India, if you want to start off any case in terms of your career opportunity with Luxoft, we have a Luxoft career page where you can go through with the relevant opportunities. You can apply for the same, and that will help you in order to proceed ahead. Now, as you can see, right now we have a lot of the senior as well as regular demands which have been bifurcated over here. So you can see through it that, what kind of a leadership we are building in. And that doesn't mean that, we are only hiring externally. We are also promoting our internal talent, and we see to it that, what kind of competencies you have advanced through and how you like to shape up your career to the next level. If you want to get a cross module trainings, we can help you with that. If you want to go into the same module with different kind of project opportunities, we can give you that as well. So that's how, we are growing as an organization, and we are like to proudly say that, that's why our clients and our particular set of employees also feel that, this is a wonder place and where you can grow yourself and proceed ahead. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, Pravina, there was one question for the OTP domain. I think we can take it later. So first we'll finish off with the slides, then we can start off with the Q&A questions as well. Okay. So like, as I was mentioning about the Luxoft, so they are being treated as a Murex spearhead in the market. So if you see right now into the Indian market, we are being competing with one of the key big four industries, or, key IT services industry. But looking at the size of our organization, that how we have growth from, let's say that in the coming years, or from last 3 years, if I see the year-on-year hikes, that is pretty much tremendous. And that's how our growth part is. And where, we hold 45% of the market share of the talent pool, which is across industry with us, coming with advanced capabilities, which we are already focusing on. And nevertheless, since we have a tie-up with the premium partners across the banking industry, so, they will treat us as the best solution provider. And that's how we are going ahead in terms of our opportunity. Now, if you talk about that, there's a consecutive success what we are achieving. What is the main focus of the management behind this particular way, or the roadmap is? So there is a what next approach we follow. So we are not just doing the same thing which we are doing yesterday. We are focused for tomorrow by working on it in present. Okay. So that's just how we always feel that, in terms of getting more on an agile approach, we can go ahead and streamline with our solution providing. Okay. So that's how we are progressing ahead. Yes, in terms of our offices, it's pretty much based in Pune and Bangalore, where Bangalore is our first center in India, which has got started. And then on, we have never seen back, and we are seeing the continuous progress which we are taking ahead and moving ahead on those lines to pick it up on the same. And similarly, in terms of our internal employees, we go for the mobility, where, we give them a swift options so they can go and work on the multiple projects, multiple engagements, and get themselves cross skills and cross train. Can we move to next slide? Thank you. So this is my team. So these are my partners with whom I work. So I have Catherine, which is working with me as a recruitment business partner for APAC. I have my another colleague with me, which is Ramya, which is working for the Singapore hiring with me on the Murex practice. So this is something which we do as a team from the recruitment perspective to try to make the process more swift, more agile. And we always inform it to our referrals or to our channels through social media circuit that please visit the particular channels which can help you to grow as an organization. So now today, if you know about the Luxoft, you can visit our Luxoft career pages, you can go towards our Facebook pages and to our career website where you can go and apply against the relevant opportunity. It's very easy, very quick process. And I'll make sure that, that my team and my other peers, team members will definitely see that if your profile suits to our relevant opportunities, they will come back to you. And you can also refer your colleagues or someone from your social circuit. We are happy to consider them as well. So This is your main point of contacts. You can reach us anytime. You can connect with us over the LinkedIn as well. We are happy to revert back to you. And also, as my colleague Anuradha shared some of the success stories of our current partners who have been working with us, and they are feeling so happy attached towards the organization. So I would just like to share my success story, that I'm coming in from a very strong banking background, while I work with the clients like HSBC, Deutsche, UBS, and right now I'm working with Luxoft. So key motivation area, what I see for joining this organization is that you have a tremendous amount of opportunities in front of you. If you want to grow, this is the place where you can definitely join in. And it's not comparison. I'm not doing a comparison with the peers, but it's definitely a place where I can definitely vouch by myself. You come in, you be a part of the organization, and you see yourself that sky is the limit if you have the confidence to grow. So that's what we do, and that's what we are looking forward from yourself as well. So this is pretty much on the guides.
Thank you so much, Prabjot. That was a very enlightening session. I'm sure all our participants have at least have 50% of their questions answered with your session. I see quite a few questions, mostly for you, Prabjot. How is it? So you mentioned that our participants can go onto our career website and apply there. So there are questions
Absolutely.
around there are questions around what is the timeline that they can hear back from the recruitment team, and there are a few more concerns that they've stated that I had applied maybe a month back or 15 days back. I haven't heard back yet. So what is the procedure further?
Sure, definitely. I would like to answer on all those questions. So first of all, you can apply through our LinkedIn pages, and you can also apply through our Luxoft career pages. So against the open opportunity. And I apologize if you don't have a better candidate experience. So just like to share that, there's going to be sometimes multiple set of applications which come in, and, they are not actually matching to the job roles and responsibilities what we're looking forward to hire. So at that point of time, we update it into our systems, and we share the feedback. Usually we are very proactive, but there can be one or two odd cases which we can definitely try to go in as an organization, and we appreciate your feedback.
Also, there are a couple of
Okay.
questions about applying
Yeah.
to positions outside of the country. So
Yes, for the
how does one go about getting recruited for Luxoft, say Singapore or Vietnam?
So it totally depends. For example, if today you want to apply for any Singapore-based position, you will see that, on the Lux of Careers, there's a relevant opportunity. And you can also select via the region, because in our career page, you have the region which is being available. So for example, if you're not interested for India, you're interested for Singapore. If your profile match and fit to the particular qualification criteria, team will take it ahead and they will revert to you with the recruitment process. And similarly for India, the same process we follow. So we are usually very quick, but there can be some of the cases which I'm seeing as a feedback. So we will try to eliminate that kind of a process as well.
And in my opinion, I think we are also looking to recruit in Europe as well for the Murex practice, right? So when can our participants, look forward, and where can they look at these opportunities and apply?
So in terms of the Europe-based roles also, they are being available on the Luxoft career pages. So you have to just change the location. You have to go with the Europe as a location, and you can see towards the roles which have been published over there. And accordingly, you can apply on the same.
Thank you for that. So this is one question from business perspective. So the question is about, people here that if we are working at a client side or and using their systems. So what is the procedure or what is the capacity for growth with the client side as well as with Luxoft? So the apprehension basically is here that the employees cut off from the company's communication channels because they're working on site or on the client side. So how is this question answered? Maybe Pravina can take it up.
Yep.
Sorry, Pragna, I was answering the questions which have been in the chat
Okay.
box. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so the question is, if we are working on the client side and working on their systems and their network, they have the apprehension of their growth within Luxoft. So how is that managed with lesser communication, basically because they are on the client network?
So, I mean, there are many focused events or the connects with the specific leadership team within the organization where it is focused agenda. Basically, could be a knowledge sharing or cross skilling, or it could be anything, brown bag sessions, etc. So even though they are working out of the captive locations, if you really see, our largest delivery location is Hyderabad, where we do have like quite a sizable team, like 50 plus resources working out of captive location only. But yet they are much more integrated within the organization, pretty much aware of what is happening within the organization, because we do have multiple sorts of connects by across various stakeholders. It's not only from a delivery perspective, right? HR also conducts many events where they are all being treated as a part of the organization. So at the same time, again, there are regular governance which happens across the clients, understanding what are the pain points of those resources. I mean, just rather than leaving them in the client location, we do also have a stringent process where we do understand what how our people are at the client locations, what kind of work they are getting, and what kind of opportunities they are more aspired for, and we'll be taking care accordingly. So
I think you're in the middle of answering to Ritu. So for the benefit of the rest of the audience, I'll read it out loud. If I had earlier some work experience and knowledge in Murex, but gap with other projects, can I still continue with Murex again in my career?
yes, Ritu. So we, as part of our growth journey, definitely we need many people with a varied experience, skill and experience. So what we are doing is we are running the academy program by taking such people who have worked previously on Murex platform and then didn't get a chance to continue for a number of reasons. So we do also provide a dedicated programs in order to enhance your Murex skills, and you can be part of any implementation or any program for that matter. So we recently hired like 25 plus people, and then we are continuing to do so in the coming future. So
Thank you. So there is a question from Imamuddin. Are there any training programs for non-employees of Luxoft?
So at the moment, I don't think so. What is available is from a self-reading perspective, or some of the videos from an advisory perspective or point of view perspective, they can definitely go through. But I don't think we do have any training program as such. So, but there is a lot of learning material which is available to try to understand all the latest developments within the industry.
Also, questions about hiring freshers or or internships or interns. Are there any plans for that?
Eden, you want to answer that?
Yeah, definitely. So as long as there is an alignment in terms of career path and that there is an understanding what needs to be done to reach that level of expertise in Murex, the answer is yes. So we don't want to invest in internships for people who just to discover and then do something else. We don't think it's the best usage of time for us and for the people we hire. Similarly, when we involve the freshers, I mean, we just, as Pravina mentioned, we hired like more than 25 recently, but then they go through a 5 weeks training program followed by 2 months of hands-on experience on projects, and we expect the kind of engagement that those people continue working on the Murex topic for at least 2 years. The systems we are working on are quite complex, very successful globally in the world and used by large banks, and they require some focus and some concentration and also continuity. It's not that kind of things, because you don't see them in universities, etc. There's really topics coming from the ground, from the day-to-day business of a bank. So you need to give yourself the opportunity to spend time and to absorb as much information as possible so that you can become skilled in those topics. Yeah. So that's but then the answer definitely is yes, as long as we can we perceive in you that the commitment and motivation to invest in your time and continuity to work on the same topics for a significant period of time.
Thank you, Vijay. We have another question maybe for you again. Venkata asks, I'm working in treasury domain, but I don't have any experience in Murex. Would such profiles be considered? Also, similar questions with Java skill people.
Exactly, yeah. And those are very good two examples actually of the profiles we get into our academy and training programs on Murex. So someone who has experience in treasury is definitely a profile that we like very much because the person know about the trade life cycle, they know about the different products, and that's very beneficial for a BA, business analyst role, or a consultant. Similarly, someone who has a Java background, that's very much appreciated in, for example, the interfaces, workflow, and some of the modules in Murex where a development mindset, someone who knows how to structure a code and how to build a logical thinking process implemented in a system. Yeah, so those are very welcome. What we will need from them is, again, as I said earlier, is an alignment on what they want to achieve in 1, 2, 3 years, so that we can help them align with their objectives.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, there is another question with regards to gap in the resume. Prabjot, maybe you can pick this up, or maybe Vivian and Pravina. So, what is Luxoft's approach towards employees with gaps in their resume? Do we hire them? What is the criteria?
We hire them, but looking at a certain gap aspect. So for example, if someone who is coming with, let's say, more than 5 years, 6 years of a gap, so we have to take necessary business approval and to see that, what kind of technologies they have worked. And accordingly, we will take a call. So it's more on a case-to-case basis, but definitely if you are a career comeback resource, let's say after 2 years of your maternity break, or your certain set of a break, you can come back and be a part with us, but definitely we will go again case by case basis.
There is another question about internal mobility and global relocation that we have spoken throughout the presentation. So, what is the eligibility criteria for any employee to be
So
able to apply for positions outside of their current location?
yeah, all employees are eligible. The again is about the career path and having transparency in both sides, and is about planning also. What we want to, the way we work. So the internal mobility is run by a separate team, and they're agnostic. So they are always supportive of the consultants, whatever is the current project or the target project. I think this is number one. Two is very transparent because it's in the tool. So the person will raise the internal mobility request in a tool that is visible by management, and there's a governance around it. So it's not like one-to-one discussion. Yeah. So we enable the people as much as possible to have a transparent discussion. So this is on one side. On the other side, we pay attention not to disturb existing work. So we don't want, when someone does 2-3 months in an engagement and then comes and say, I want internal mobility. We have large engagements, complex ones, etc., and we need stability in the teams. So while we are open to see to help people go on mobility in location or between projects in the same location, we pay attention to that. We don't put at any risk the ongoing projects, and everything needs to be planned in advance. Now, when I look at the stats, I think it's in average 2 years in the existing position before we start talking about internal mobility or relocation. Also, the second thing I see in average is internal mobility comes more from a certain seniority level, because also for us, from a company perspective, it needs to align with the need. It's not just about moving people from one places to the other, it's also about aligning the people need to move or to change project or location, map that need to the business need also. So if we don't have requirements in a certain location, we will not accept moving people to that location if we don't have open positions for them, for us and for them, because probably they will be just on the bench and not having the proper project that is aligned with their seniority. So that matching exercise is also quite important. A part of that, I think, yeah, it's an ongoing process, and for you to give you more confidence on the solidity of that process, it runs for 130,000 people across all the companies. So it's you can imagine it's well industrialized, well governed. So there's no issue from that perspective.
Thank you. So on the similar lines, there are a couple of questions. Praveen has already answered one of Akash's. He asks, is it possible, is movement possible between different modules? On a similar lines, if a particular resource is proficient in say one technology, is it possible for that employee to be trained and move on to a different technology if that is their interest?
Yeah,
Pravina, you want to
definitely.
take it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So we do have many people such scenarios where people have upscaled themselves with across modules, and we do encourage, and we have seen many stories or the video snippets, and even Anuradha has covered in her experience within Luxoft, right? So where she got multiple opportunities to experience different kind of roles. So definitely it is possible. And I see Ritu had asked if she can apply because she's not currently working on the Murex project, but she has worked earlier. Ritu, I think we have taken similar profiles for the recent academy, and we'll be opening up some more academy based roles, which might be starting next quarter. So yeah, you can definitely try to reach out.
Thank you so much, Karina. I think we are at the end of the session. So let us, I mean, that was the last question that we could afford to answer due to the time restrictions. Thank you, our panelists, for a wonderful and very insightful session. So
Thank you
also,
all for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you
everyone.
all.